I wanted to share with you something really important about digestion and the phases of digestion and why intermittent fasting, or allowing at least a 3 to 4 hour window in between your meals, is really important if you struggle with bloating or IBS or any sort of digestive distress. So I want to tell you about the migrating motor complexes that happen within the small intestine, between the stomach and the small intestine. This is a 3-phase approach to digestion that is said to be lacking, particularly that phase 3 is said to be lacking if you're struggling with bloating or IBS. Okay, so here's how it works. Basically, you've got 2 different movements that will move food from the stomach via sphincters along into the small intestine and into the large intestine. And what happens when we're grazing all the time and we are struggling with bloating, it may be that the phase 3 component of the migrating motor complexes is not working for you. Now, this is important because this is really the, it's like the housekeeper of your gut health. All right, so the migrating motor complexes come in and clean up any food particles, any bacteria, any debris in the small intestine after we eat. But this phase 3 only happens close to the 3 to 4 hour mark. So each phase takes a different length of time, and in each phase there's different sorts of activity that go on that are, so phase 1 takes about 70 minutes, and this is where we have some irregular contractions of the small intestine to move food along. Phase 2 is when we have bile flow that helps with the digestive enzymes and helps move food along. And phase 3, like the first 2 phases are quiet phases, they're not really very noisy, but phase 3, when you have those hunger pangs, when you have, when your tummy rumbles, that is a sign that phase 3 is happening. So that is, it's after your tummy rumbles, that's when you should eat. So if you're the type of person that's grazing all day long, then you're not allowing that really crucial cleaning up of the gut phase to happen. Because what happens in that phase, and it's usually that last 15 to 20 minutes of that entire 90-minute cycle, it's those last, little phase is when all the debris, food particles, and the bacteria, and all the leftover enzymes from whatever you've eaten have a chance to get cleaned out of the small intestine. So this is really, really important. That cleaning out of the bacteria, that after all the food is digested and all the nutrients are absorbed from the food, it's the particles that are left behind, it's the bacteria that is left behind, and the enzymes that are left behind that need cleaning out of that area. So if you're struggling with bloating, and if you're struggling with IBS or any sort of digestive complaint, I really encourage you to allow that minimum 3 to 4 hour window between your meals. Now, it used to be think in order to manage blood sugars and in order to manage cortisol levels that grazing is a good thing to do. It's not actually really the case, because when you're not allowing that amount of time, that 3 to 4 hour window, then food particles build up, leftover enzymes build up, and that bacteria ends up building up. And when we have that bacteria building up, we have a condition called small intestine bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO. And that, this bacteria is very opportunistic. And when we have this breeding ground that is full of opportunistic pathogens, that's when we have symptoms like bloating, and this can cause dysbiosis. So hopefully that's not too much jargon for you, but ultimately what it means is that you should wait until you're hungry. So you know that you're hungry when your stomach starts to grumble, and that's the cue that the phase 3 of the migrating motor complexes is working well. And then it's beyond that point that you should start to feel hungry, and that's when you should eat. So I ask you, when was the last time you felt hungry? And have a think about it. You know, when your brain tells you you're hungry, it's often a lie. And when your stomach tells you you're hungry and you're getting the hunger pangs and your tummy is grumbling, then that's a good sign that the debris and the particles and everything are being cleaned out of that system. So we have what is called the fed state, and we have the fasting state, and I really encourage you to get into that fasting state in order to allow the movement of that bacteria through the digestive system. Hopefully that's helpful for you. If you are struggling with bloating, I know a lot of you are coming into this group because you are struggling with bloating. Now here's the other thing. The phase 3 of the migrating motor complex requires specific hormones. So if your hormones are out of whack, perimenopause and menopausal ladies, then you may be struggling with a belly bloat, and you may find that at different times of the month you're more prone to bloating. So I really encourage you to make sure you've got that 4-hour window at least between your meals, and that may help. And if you're really struggling, if you try that out and you're really struggling, then please get in touch and we can do some tests to get to the root cause of your problem. All right, thanks for tuning in. And if you're watching on replay, hashtag replay. And if you've got any questions, let me know. See you later. Have a good evening.